going on, Jerome's? So when the Minnesota Vikings moved on from Mike Zimmer and Ricky Spielman, new general manager Kwesi adofo-mensah and head coach Kevin O'Connell, they had some choices to make with some of the older, aging veterans on the roster. And the Vikings parted ways with Anthony Barr, although they brought him back last year. People forget about that. He wore 54. It's funny, man. Also, Eric Hendricks, eventually moving on from Adam Jerome, Ezekiel Thielen, who, I don't know, it feels like he wants to be back, doesn't he? As well as Patrick Peterson, and then this offseason, finally parting ways with quarterback Kirk Cousins, as well as a longtime edge rusher, Danielle Hunter, who always have a place in my heart. But either way, the Vikings definitely had a youth movement on the roster this offseason, and Kwesi is pushing this team younger, and also I kind of like the way that they stacked up young talent, whether it's Jefferson and Addison and J.J. McCarthy, as well as, Addison. Addison's going to be his own superstar in his own right, as well as 2 first-round picks, 21-year-old J.J. McCarthy, future franchise quarterback, as well as 21-year-old Diamond Dallas Turner, future talisman on the edge for the Vikings. Long story longer, Aaron Schatz of ESPN, who formerly Football Outsiders, right? So he's never been like a Vikings fan, right? So, and you could say, well, he's being objective, calling spade a spade, but nah, it just always feels like the thumb is down on the scale, and I feel like that he's just the typical national media jabroni haircut who never gives the Vikings the time of day. But over on ESPN did up a ranking NFL teams under 25 talent. The Texans and Lions lead the list. Oh Lord, a shocker. Although respect to Brad Holmes, like that Lions roster it's kind of nice. It happens, man. But Vikings check in at 24, a.k.a. the ninth worst, in the National Football League. 2023 ranking 18. Now, 18 sort of makes sense because even though the Vikings didn't have McCarthy or Diamond Dallas Turner last year, I mean, you had Jefferson, you had Darrisaw, and also you had Jordan Addison. Is under 25. Now, these 20. You see a lot of these under 25 lists. Now, a lot of these get morassed into the legalese. Well, is it under 25 or is it 25 and under? People get all up in arms. In general, it doesn't matter. Who cares? But this one is under 25. So Jefferson and Darrisaw having birthdays this year. No longer qualify for the list. So blue chip players, Addison and McCarthy, notable graduated players, Jefferson, Darrisaw, and Ed Ingram. The 22-year-old Addison had a great rookie season with 911 receiving yards and 10 touchdowns. Yeah, it had a great rookie season. You're underselling it. Besides Puka, like Addison was wide receiver 2 last year. Even though I know that everyone is all up creaming in their jeans over Zay Flowers. I don't know how do you do in the playoffs last year? McCarthy, the franchise quarterback in waiting, will likely play during his rookie year. So will edge rusher Dallas Turner, also chosen in the first round. We'll see about McCarthy. Like maybe he wins a job from Darnold, but Turner's going to be a force. And I think that Turner has a very good chance of winning Defensive Player of the Year. The only other player who qualifies for this list and started more than one game last year for the Vikings is linebacker Ivan Pace Jr. He was a surprise undrafted star. 2.5 sacks and 1 interception and 102 tackles. Surprised everyone but ourselves. It's with Pace. But I don't know, like 9th worst in the league? Is that what you're telling me? Really? Because the Vikings are only going to have 2 primary starters age 30 or older during the season. And offensively, they're going to have one of the youngest units in the league, even with 29-year-old Aaron Jones, because Darnold is only 27. McCarthy, if he wins a job, is 21. Jefferson's 25. Ty Chandler's 26. Addison's 22. Hawkinson's only 27. And then offensive line, even though guys like Bradbury and O'Neal are pushing up the average age, I mean, Darrisaw is young. Brando's young. Ed Ingram, if he wins one of the spots, is young. So the Vikings do have one of the best young rosters in the league. And also, I mean, the Vikings are pretty young and fresh in terms of the 2 most important spots. Passer, Darnold and McCarthy, and get the passer, Diamond Dallas Turner, Van Ginkel, and Jonathan Grenard. So overall, like I'm not too worried about it. And it's just like typical national media hatred of the Vikings. It just sort of is what it is. But I feel like Kwesi doesn't get enough credit because over the last 3 off seasons, while the Vikings have remained competitive, the whole competitive rebuild, like quietly, he's completely remade this roster, and they've gotten young at all the key spots, and also you have young superstars all over the place and future superstars. So you got to feel good. You have to feel very, very good about what the Vikings have done, and that's why, I mean, this year expectations are sort of whatever, because this is a young team that is growing and showing together. You hate to say it, but it's sort of like the greasy grimy Green Bay Packers last year with that extremely young roster, and it took some time to gel, but they sort of got rolling towards the end, even though they did not win the Super Bowl. No problem, man. But I think that's what the Vikings are going to be this year, where you can win 5 games, you can win 7 games, you can win 12 games, you can win 15 games. Either way, punch the other team in the face and get better every single week. That's all we ask. That's all we ask. But your thoughts are thoughts. ESPN hating on the Vikings young rooster. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.